majority of the time on this screen, because one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to create dashboards. We're basically going to have 4 dashboards for you. The first one, we're going to tell you the status of our jobs. Did they run the night before? In fact, that screen is going to be released next week. If integrity didn't run, we know that the data won't show. So that's the screen tells you, did integrity run? It's going to show you, did ASCUS to SACE run? Some of the things that we've seen is, as the volume came in for putting stuff from ASCUS to SACE, instead of running nightly that we planned on, we're running every other day because it's taking that long. So I've got the team focused on how do we make that run faster. And Keith took away my...
I'm just going to show you the.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to show you the dashboard that you were just talking about.
So this is what the dashboard's going to look like. As you can see, you're going to be able to tell, is the REST API up? Meaning, is the gate open for you to submit data? Sometimes it might be closed because we're doing a deployment. Or Azure may be having problems. So it'll tell you real time. It's going to show you SACE to ASCUS job. When did it start? When did it end? And did it fail? And in the ASCUS to SACE, did it complete or did it fail? And we look at this, we're on a call every morning at 8:30 talking about these jobs, what went wrong, how do we make it go faster. And all of this is going to be real time. It's not like we have somebody hand keying it in. It'll be pulling from the system. Then we're going to move into, and Keith will show you these dashboards. And these are going to show you your summary counts so that you can compare your counts of what's in our system to what's in your system. And from there, you can drill down to say at the LEA level, your count's here. If you click a button, it'll show you what the school counts are. And then we'll be able to actually go down to the reports so that you can troubleshoot. Now, the other thing that we'll be working on is the student tool analysis. So if you have one student that you want to see the transactions on, you can go to the one student and look. So this is what the team's working on. We had to pull them off this to work on the ASCUS to SACE. But these are the components that we're doing, and then these are the reports that will go with it. So for example, when you run integrity, and you'll see your integrity counts, and you're like, well, those look low. Well, from there, you'll be able to go right into the reports to help you troubleshoot why is it low. And then it's even going to be in the same portal. So if you need to, you can click right over to the student tool to say, let me go check this one student because something seems funny there. And then we'll be working on ADM. Now, as you can see, we are introducing a few reports. The Trans 15 is going to be going today. I know that the Trans 10 is what's been used to help troubleshoot some of the data from ASCUS to SACE. Well, we ran into a problem where you can't export it to Excel and do your analysis. So we're creating a detailed report. I think Keith will talk more about that. This Trans 99 was the one Mark talked about, where we're showing you where the file is in the queue. And then these are the ones in blue that are already out there. And then these are the ones that we'll be working on. And we're kind of going down in order. And we'll get this posted so you can see the progress, and we'll keep you informed as far as where we are. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Keith to actually show you what the reports are going to look like.
I want to start out by telling you about the Trans 15 that is going to be deployed tonight. Those that have been running the reports on ASCUS, and if you've been running the Trans 10, you see the numbers, and then you can drill into those numbers and see the details of those numbers. We're taking away that detail portion because it wasn't working. You could drill in, and then you couldn't really do anything with it. You could go through the pages on the web, but you couldn't export it. You couldn't print it, you couldn't do anything. So what we did is we turned that off, and we actually made it a separate report. So if you want to see your summary and see like the days that you had a lot of failures, you can go to the summary, run it, then you can go to your Trans 15 that we're giving you tonight and run that. And it's very similar to what the Trans 10 is. However, we listened to you guys and got some enhancements in there. You guys that have asked for, let us filter by resource type. So student, school associations, there's like 30 different resource types that you guys are submitting. You can filter on that. There's organization types, there's staff types, and student types. And if you're familiar with the reports, you've probably seen that you can start to type in something, and it'll filter the list and shorten it up for you. So you can just type in student, and it'll filter, I think there's 16 different student record types. You filter it, you can just run it for student. There was a bug, I can't remember if it was Chandler or somebody reported it. Somebody was doing some troubleshooting, and in the trans 10, in the details, we were stripping out all the spaces because there's a lot of spaces in the file that you sent us, or the records that you sent us. And that was causing some problems with a district that was doing some troubleshooting. So we fixed that. It's going to show you all the spaces in there, so you can actually, export it, do a search, and you'll find the exact thing that you're looking for. What else did we do? We were allowing you to do the filter. You can filter it by passes or failures or both. We still have one enhancement that everybody's been asking for, and that's to be able to filter it by student ID. Right now, the way that we accept your files, we don't have a separate column in the database when you send us the file of that student ID. We are working on it. As Randall mentioned, we have that student analysis tool. The developer that's working on that is going to do something to parse the files, the transactions that you're sending us into its own column, so then we can come back and add that enhancement to that Trans 15 report as well. So the Trans 15 that's going to be out in production tonight. It's actually in staging this morning, I just checked. So if you're in staging, you can run it there, and your file's in production, it'll be there tonight, and you'll be able to run it tomorrow morning, and you can print it to PDF or actually export it to CSV. Okay, so I wasn't going to cover that, so that's why I wanted to cover it. So I started the system status page that Randall talked about. We saw the Trans 99. So the reporting dashboard. Zoom this to. So this is just a mock-up that we gave to our development staff a few weeks ago, I guess. And you can see here, this is the dashboard that we showed you earlier that is going into production next week. That's going to, mine is just mock-up. The developer actually made this a nice green with the word available in it. I'm assuming if it's disabled or if it's not running, it'll be something red. You see the AZEDs to SACE and the SACE to AZEDs. And on the mock-up, there was actually some integrity and aggregation as well. I think since we just said that, or since we did that initial thing, there's actually a whole bunch of different integrity rule engines. There's ADM, there's SPED, ELL, and each one of those is kind of its own little run. So integrity will actually show that attendance or ADM or ELL ran or failed or whatever the process is. I kind of showed it a little bit down here. I didn't want to go into too much detail because we're still working on that portion, but this top portion actually will be available next week. And then going into what Randall said about the additional dashboards is we're hoping that this is kind of your AZED's portal, AZED's homepage. So you'll come in here. I didn't add it, but there's actually going to be a link for the unique ID search. We're basically going to try and make everything, you go into one spot and you can get to all the other spots from this spot. So this is our homepage, and then our goal is that you'll have a reports link. And as Randall stated, this first one we're going to do it quick and dirty, I guess. We're just going to have some additional links here. We have kind of thought out of how we're thinking that we would want phase 2 to start, but by giving you some type of drafts for like pre-integrity, post-integrity, well, there should be validation, post-integrity and post-aggregation. But like you said, we're going to come back after we've given you this with just some plain word links and get feedback from you guys on what you would like to see on this dashboard.
Just to make a quick comment on that. We are focusing, we are going to be focusing a lot on the plumbing initially. So the work that we're doing, we'll reuse and build upon it. But again, we want to get to something as quickly as we can. So the components like security, navigation, look and feel, that for the most part, you don't really think about. That's what we're focusing on first, and then we'll focus on phase 2.
So if I click on pre-integrity, oh wow. Let me see if I can zoom in here. extremely hard to read. All of these PDFs, we'll give them to the ASCUS group, and hopefully they'll make them all available to you so you can actually bring them up yourself. But it'll be similar to the reports we have now, where you'll be able to come in, your district will be selected for you, you'll be able to select one or more schools. And then this is also just the resource types like we have in the Trans 15. But this is going to come up with a grid of sorts and show you how many records, how many district of residence records you've sent and were successfully landed, and how many needs records and student parent information and ELLs, etc. And the nice thing about this is if you select multiple schools, you'll be able to select a little plus sign and expand it to all the schools you've selected, and you'll be able to see the counts for each one of your schools for everything that you ran the report for. And then I believe, we haven't moved any further than this, we've just kind of been brainstorming, and this will be like the phase 2, and what we've been thinking, and after we get your feedback, we'll find out if this is the way you want us to go, but being able to actually click on like this 432 right here, and drill in and actually see the 432 district of resident records that transactions that you sent up for this school. Yes?
Just clarification, when you said records were sent, but I think you mean what our current count is.
No, well, these are actually the transactions that you're going to be sending up through AZEDS.
I understand that, but my question is, you're not saying if I sent 25,000 records, you're saying I have 25,000 kids or whatever in that field.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah, we have so we actually started doing a pilot with an Excel report, finding the components we need to build, and that's how the Excel report works, and we're building on top of that. So if that makes sense.
And then the next area is going to be your integrity. It'll be very similar to what you could probably get from your integrity report, but it'll just show you all of the students that either passed or failed integrity, and you'll get those counts. Same thing, you'll be able to drill in to the additional schools. And then post-aggregation, and here there's more filters up here at the top. Let's see, we have school type, which I should not, I minimized all of these things because some of the drop downs were big yesterday. ADM is not mine. ADM is another business analyst that is working on the school finance side. So I shouldn't have done that to this mock-up. But school type is going to be an option. Your ADM type, which is regular, ELL, SPED, is going to be an option. And then reporting period, which may or may not be an option. It was on her original mock-up. But then you'll be able to see your sum of membership days, your sum of limited membership days, absences, some of limited absences, et cetera, et cetera. And again, this is just an initial mock-up, and I'm sure once she and I start working with the development team, it'll probably change, but like Randall said, we want to get something out there, get it so you guys can start seeing this data kind of at a higher level, I think, and then be able to drill into the details. And that's all I had. Does anybody have any questions?
One more thing I did want to mention is, how many people here have ADE Connect access? So the majority of you. If you're on SACE and you have ADE Connect access, we did move the data from SACE into AZED, so you can go and start looking at the reports. Specifically, the TRAN 99 report that's showing the files that are being uploaded. That's not just the AZED's files that are being uploaded, that's all files out of SACE. So you'll be able to determine kind of what order your files will be uploading into SACE.
AD Connect. So I know there was a question by a gentleman in the back about how to get to some reports, and I didn't hear the entire thing. If you want to raise the mic to him, and we can. I am going to try and get in here to AD Connect as myself. So when you guys go into AD Connect, if you have access to AZ- or I guess if you've been given permission to been assigned a role for AZ, all the AZ reports show up on AZ-. And I have extra tabs here because this one over here is for those clients that are in staging, Chandler and a couple of others that we currently have in staging, but that before they go into production, they can come in here, they can see the data that they've uploaded through AZEDS in the staging environment. And everybody else that's in production would be able to see this one. Right? And even those of you that are still on SACE, if you get the role to see the reports, you'll see the AZEDS reports tab. I'm going to go over here and run this because the report isn't yet in production. It went into staging last night and it'll go into production tonight. So all of these different reports have different roles that are assigned to them. There's documentation out there to tell you which role you need to see which report. And this report that we're putting out tonight that we talked about earlier, we're calling it the Trans 99 because it's only going to be there for like the next 6 months. This is the one that shows whether your file's in process or your file is in the queue. And I can run it now, but it's not, I don't think it's going to have any data because this is, there's nothing that's we're not pushing anything to a SACE environment in staging, but you can see that it actually ran. So you can run that and see that, and this is where all of your AZEDS reports will be. Did this answer your question?
Some of it. Like, what about the ADMS 75 report? I can still run that through Common Log.
Correct. All of your SACE reports, you run through Common Logon. Everything you're doing on the SACE side, you still go into Common Logon and do it just like you did last year before AZEDS became a reality.
So are you going to publish as you start to move those out of there?
I'm sorry.
Are you going to publish as you start to move those reports from Common Logon over to AZ?
They won't get moved. These are brand new reports. It's a whole new data structure. But every time we send out a new report, there is documentation that goes out. And there's not going to be an ADMS 72 in AZEDS. We'll have a report that gives you that data, but it's not going to be just like ADMS 72. ADMS 72 is actually calculated on the fly when you run the report. 75 is calculated on the fly when you run the report. With this ACE calculation engine that Mark talked about earlier, the data is actually going to be calculated, stored in the database, and we'll be running the reports and pulling the data from the database instead of calculating the report when you ask to run it.
Have you done anything to show concurrency in AZEDS? I haven't seen that report.
Correct. That is on our timeline. And it just says the more important reports are the ones coming out of the calculation engine that the other business analyst is going to be working on, and they're finalizing that ACE. They're finalizing the ACE calculation engine testing and things like that, and then she's going to be working on those reports.
One of the things I wanted to bring to your guys' attention, but I was worried about time. We did finalize our ACE functional testing engine. We're plugging it into AZEDS now. And then from that, we can start doing the reports. It is running, statewide recalc is running after 2 hours, constantly. I'll be getting into some meetings with that. I have those scheduled next week. Is Lori here?
Lori.
Why do you repeat your question to Lori? She may be able to answer you.
I'm just wondering if you could come up with a way to export all the STC errors in a text file, because the Excel file that comes out, I can't use that to write a program to then go through and determine how many errors of each type there are, without stripping out all the different labels in there.
Are you talking out of SRM?
Yes.
So when you download your error file and it's in a CSV, you'd like it in a text?
Yeah, because the CSV has got all sorts of different breaks for
Correct.
moving the data.
I'll certainly contact the vendor and see what we can do. Please know that SRM is, going to go away, right? Because 1.1 of AZEDS contains STC data, right? And so once you start submitting AZEDS, your STC data is already compiled within that. So because we have so many, we have some dependencies on the SRM database as it is, and we're still building the large ODS, which is where all the data will come in and land. We still have to do SRM this year, right? So that's why. So it would be a short fix, and I will see, I'll certainly contact the folks that own SRM.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another question?
This is related on the STC. If we have issues, I think it was mentioned earlier before, if we have issues with the upload and doing that through the SRM, is there a possibility that you can open the manual upload function earlier than it was last year? Because the district test coordinators, if we have issues with STC and getting them certified for deadline 1, deadline 2, deadline 3, they get really nervous that we're not going to get their test roster.
You're talking about Tide?
Yeah.
They're pretty well set on their dates. I can certainly ask on your behalf. Lori, will you do me a favor and send me an email of like what the difficulty is that you're experiencing? And I can take your case to assessment and see. I know that they've planned those Tide dates long in advance.
The ability to do a manual upload if we need it.
Manual upload into Tide, and you're wanting it earlier. I will do my best. So let me know what you need exactly, and then I'll help coordinate.
Clarification, I just want to know, am I understanding then, once we are transitioned, then we won't need to do the STC? It will be
No,
automatically done?
remember, this year is 100%, everybody still has to do as is, right? Next year, hopefully, if things are all great, we've been given by Mark several times that this would be the last year of actual separate STC upload through SRM, how we do it now. That's the plan. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Oh, Lily. I'm teasing you.
I just misunderstood all that then. So if you go to AZED's line, you still have to?
Yes, ma'am.
STC?
Yes. So no matter what system you're on, whether SACE or AZEDS, you'll still need to do the SRM upload. Like we did. I know.
Oh, I thought you told us.
It wasn't my decision. But yes. Okay. But the benefit of this is that all the STC data is embedded into AZEDS. That was the 1-1 or 1.1 release. So, okay.
Hi. To just do a follow-up to Mesa's question about the transition from after you've been submitting SACE and so forth all year, and then you move to the live version of AZEDS. The data that's already in SACE, we just want to make sure that if any data got into SACE that was not in our SIS at any point, how do we handle updating those records, or how do we handle removing those records if we need to, that type of thing. Have you guys looked into that?
So that's where we'll have to work with the SIS vendor on the removal, because if the data is in AZEDS, then they could pull that out to help with the deletes and the removal. So that would be the main way of handling it. But if there is something that we've had problems with the transfer, we will go ahead and do cleanup scripts. We will contact you. Our goal is to never touch your data. So that's a goal, that we'll always have you guys touch the data and have it flow in seamlessly, but if there's problems.
This is off the subject, but I just want to thank the AZEDS team. I'm Louise from Vail, and they have helped us with Power School transition over 100 districts, and you guys have been awesome to work with. Anisha, I don't know if Anisha's here today. Thank you. And Greg Martin, thank you.
Just some clarification on the sped 71 report. I know that you said that not everything is being lumped.
I cannot see my fee-for-service students for like outside vendors, like if they're going to another private day school. And we have them in our Synergy system, and we're uploading them, but they're not showing up on our SPED 71 report. And I did already submit a ticket.
So I'll have to look at the tickets on that. That'll be something I have to get back with you on. If you wanted contact information, you want to contact me and get that to you. Any other questions?
We use IEP Pro to upload our SPED services. So when we go to AZN and it wipes out all our data, how does IEP Pro then go and put it into AZN?
So a clarification on when you go to AZS, it doesn't wipe out your data in SACE unless you do a full upload of your data. What that means is you're resubmitting your data and you touched it, and we've noticed that you've made a change, and so we pick up the changes and then we'll submit it into SACE. So we don't do anything as far as removal or anything. Any changes you make, that's what we pick up, and then that's what we'll submit.
So how in the future will we use the IEP Pro to do AZN?
During current testing, that we'll have to get back with you on. So Anish can help with that answer.
For IEP Pro, we're working with MediaNet, and they're working with DFE and Stage at the moment to test our solution out. So once that's done and they're ready for production, the way it would work is then from your SIS, you would submit data to EIP Pro, or however the connection works between your SIS and the MediaNet, and then MediaNet will spend all the spread records to us using the AZEPS connection. So did I answer your question?
You guys have any more questions? Okay. One thing I did want to mention before leaving. This week, we realize we're in this together, and I know my team has a lot of information that we sometimes assume that you guys have or had discussions with the vendors. So one of the things that we created this week was a quick worksheet that shows the data that needs to be submitted into AZETS. The intention of the worksheet is just nothing more for you guys to look at and spark conversations if you need it. So for example, when we first went live, primary responsibility or responsible party wasn't being sent and it was needed for SACE. So that was just one of those things that we knew, but we realized communication may not have gotten out. So it's on the worksheet as data that needs to be submitted. And so the intent is you could use the worksheet and ask, is this something I'm filling in through my SIS vendor, or is it calculating it for me and sending it on my behalf? That way it just gives you information. You can use it if you need to, and if not, if it wasn't much, then just putting together a list of fields that are required. So that will be handed out in the breakout sessions. I'm looking for Lisa. So, and then we'll make sure it gets on the website as well, so you can get that. If there's no more questions, I'll hand it over.
Are you sure you have all the answers? No more questions from this team? Thank you, Randall, Keith, for being here. Okay, one quick announcement. Apparently you should be getting communication from the IT world. So if you are not getting that communication, you need to see Stefan and give him your email address. Make sure you get on that distribution list for any communications from the IT world. Okay? Yeah.
And you should have received a notification to sign up for Red Flag as well.
once you're submitting to AZ Eds. Okay? Okay. So we're going to continue on. We have Lyle, I see him in the back. He is going to come up